Okay, today we are going to be talking about about 4-month review of the Jaybird Vistas. They are a pair of true wireless headphones. I'm on the Canadian side here. I am Canadian. I spent about $240 at these Best Buy. And you can look at all the pictures here and the glamorous shots by the Logitech showing the lanyard and stuff like that, but I figured I would do basically a little 4-month review of what I thought about these and basically if they're good, should you buy them? Are they worth the money? So first things first, right off the bat, are these worth $240? I would buy a second pair of these if I needed a second pair. I only need one right now. If my girlfriend needs a pair, I'm going to be buying her these ones. They are expensive, but they're absolutely worth it. Here's some of the reasons why I think they're worth it. I used other true wireless headphones before. I think I bought a pair of Skull Candies. I don't know why I bought Skull Candies. They are the worst product in the world. Every time I have bought something Skull Candy, the product just, you get exactly what you paid for. It's subpar. If you just need a pair of headphones to stick in your ear and they'll be wireless, perfect. If you want them to do anything advanced past that, then you're in trouble. Some of the problems I had that made me go in and search for another pair and have to do extensive research is the capability of using each one of these devices on their own. So if I want to put the left one in my ear and only the left one, I don't want the right one to have to be on, or vice versa. I wanted to be able to use each headphone independently. And the reason why I needed to do that was for myself anyways. When I went snowboarding, I liked having one headphone in and the other ear being open because these are basically noise canceling headphones for the most part. It's hard to hear because it blocks your whole ear canal. So if I'm snowboarding and somebody comes flying up beside me, if I don't hear them, it can be quite startling. So I wanted to be able to put one of them in my ear, and then after 3 hours or so when the battery dies, I could put it back in the case, and then I could pull out the other headphone and continue on where I was while the other headphone's charging. So basically you could have all day music without having to worry about, oh, both headphones are in, both of them died, put them back in. You can't listen for 2 hours, let's say, or an hour if you just want to get a small quick charge. But I like kind of putting one in. It lets me talk to people on the chairlifts, hear people. I can still talk to my Google Assistant with no issues with just one in. And it does things like it lets me use either one to do the Google Assistant. So that's really nice. So the way Jaybird has set these up is one is always the master, the other one's the slave. So if you pull the left one out, then it ends up being the master, the other one ends up being the slave. If you pull the right one out first, then it ends up being the master, the other one being the slave. From what I can understand. I could be completely wrong there, but they need to be in the case to pair, which is not a big deal, but it is kind of one of those, I wish we could just press and hold the button to pair them. And I'll explain that in a couple minutes why that issue is. But it's not a big deal to have them in the case, be able to push and hold the button. It puts it in pairing mode, and the case basically triggers the batteries to go into pairing mode. So there was a lot of check marks. When my one headphone, my other pair of headphones died and I put them back in the case, it caused weird issues when the case was dead itself and you put the earphone back into the case while the case was dead. It didn't shut off the headphone, so the headphone, basically you thought you turned it off, but it's actually still running Bluetooth inside the case. So little tiny things that you wouldn't think are a big deal, but when you only have 2 hours of battery life in a headphone, you stick it back in your case, you figure it out an hour later and you realize that that headphone's pretty much dead. It's kind of frustrating. Jaybirds don't have these issues. So very sleek case. I don't understand why everybody wants these huge, ugly pill fob cases. I want something that'll fit in my pocket and not be a ridiculous mound in my pocket if I wipe out or if I fall on them or if I run into something. Not that I run into things very often, but hey. It has a USB-C charger on the front, which is convenient with everything else that I have in my house. At this price, I would love to see that these have QI charging or Qi charging. I do have a wireless charger by my desk that my phone sits on. It'd be nice to, if they're morning when I'm done putting these back on the case or the case on the charger and being able to charge, but it's not a huge deal to have a USB-C cable there. We pretty much have them everywhere. I can even actually charge these off my phone, which is kind of cool. But having the capability of charging it off my phone using QI would be even cooler. I did have an issue where I did actually lose a headphone, and I went onto the website, and this is one of the things that I knew when I bought it. You can purchase a replacement. So another pro that a lot of the other peoples don't have, and it's just basically you lose one headphone, you're replacing the case with the battery in it, and you're replacing the right headphone, which are perfectly fine. And in today's day and age, I hate throwing out stuff that there is no reason for it other than it was built cheaply on purpose so that you could basically buy another one. And that's just throwaway mentality, and it bothers me. So the fact that I could buy another headphone for this was, an earbud, sorry, was absolutely amazing. It did cost me $103 to have it shipped to my house. It's a little pricey, but when you think about the total price of $240 plus tax, $240 plus tax, I'm going to say it's about $275. Just quick math in my head, $270. That basically you spent on these. So $100 is basically like a third of the cost. So that makes sense that basically each headphone is worth $100 and the case worth around $100 with tax. But that was the other cool thing, is being able to replace the battery if it ever dies in this, which is kind of cool. Comfort. This is the biggest thing. If you're going to buy true wireless headphones, are they comfortable? Because you're sitting these things in your ear, and some of them fit based on this little cone here would shove into your ear canal, and by being in your ear canal would actually hold it in place. Logitech has gone and used the little earbud ear flaps. So when you do put these in your ear, you kind of flip that little tab up inside your ear, and does not require this to be shoved into your ear canal, which makes it a lot better comfort feeling. And when they're in, you can see that they're very low profile. It's telling me that's connected now. Somebody's in my ear. But they're very low profile. So if you want to wear a hat like I have when I snowboard, or a helmet over top of these, it doesn't put a lot of pressure on your ear. So they're nice and flush with your ear. They do protrude a little bit, and pushing the button really kind of pops your ear because you're pushing these into your ear canal. But I like these better, the fact that these sit on just the outside of your ear canal, or that's the way I wear them, as opposed to shoved right inside that ear canal, where when I'm jogging, when I'm biking, when I'm doing anything that requires like I'm building pressure in my ear, it really bothers me having that pressure build up in my ear and not being able to relieve it. So these kind of sit on your ear and they don't let that pressure build up. The other reason why I'm going to say these are probably the best comfort-wise headphones I've ever used is when I go to bed at night, I like to throw on a YouTube video, some silly how it's made video, or how a ship's built, just to help my brain wind down, because the day there's so much going on in it, and sometimes you just need something to wind you down. And I find sometimes that the silence is really, it's too silent for me. So I like throwing one of these into my ear, and basically I'll watch a YouTube video so I don't have to disturb my partner. And I can watch a YouTube video. I will sometimes wake up with these in my ear still, and I don't even realize they're there until I go to the bathroom, and I can kind of feel pressure in my ear, and I'm like, I got my wireless headbud in there still. So if I can sleep with these all night, they must be pretty darn comfortable. There are times that I wake up in the middle of the night. They don't fall out either. That's the funny thing. I'm sleeping and they're in my ear. I might toss and turn 3 or 4 times and they don't fall out at all. So they do stay in pretty good. So comfort wise, I absolutely love these things. They do not make my ear sore at all. But again, I picked the size for my ear canal that sits on just the outside of my ear canal, not into it. So not sure. Some people like having it shoved right in there, but that might cause more pressure. But again, when I had the skull candies, after wearing them for about 2 hours, I could just feel that tension, pressure, pain happening in my ears. So that's all the good things. Again, would I buy these? Would I buy these again if I needed a second pair? Absolutely. Love these things. There's one thing though that I wanted to make mention of. The only problem that I have found with these in the last 4 months or so was the fact that if you happen to lose one of these earbuds. So if you lose one of these, great, you can replace it. Throw it away. Good. The problem is the case is what needs to initiate the earbuds to go into pairing mode. So unless both headphones are in there, when you press and hold on the button that's in here to turn into pairing mode, it won't go into pairing mode. So if your headphone is already paired to your phone and it will connect to it, you're perfectly fine with the other one that's left over. So this one will still keep connecting, no problems at all. The problem I had is every so often, on my Pixel 3 and Bluetooth devices, they just, even though they've been paired 100 times before, it just won't find them again. So basically I had to forget the device and pair it again. This happened when I lost my headphone, a day after I lost my other headphone. And so basically I could not pair the remaining headphone that was left to my phone, or I could not pair it to a new device, which got me to, I had to call support, email support, and they did get back to me and let me know that no, both headphones must be in the case for it to charge. Hopefully they update their FAQ because anybody else has this problem. They'll figure that out as opposed to trying to pair it. I try to do all different things like firmware updates, making sure I'm forgetting one device, resetting them, everything. But basically once I got the answer, it basically told me that, yeah, you have to have both of them. If the engineers at Vista, Logitech are listening, please fix that issue. And the reason why I asked you to please fix that issue is there is no reason I should have to buy another headphone. If I was perfectly okay with using one headphone in this case, please don't force me to buy another headphone. A, it's a waste if I don't need it. And for the other reason is this shouldn't be useless because I've lost one part to it. It basically is waste. And again, that whole waste culture of if something doesn't work, you have to throw something else, just wrong. And on top of that, you'll make your customers happy, the fact that these still pair. If you could make them pair by just pressing and holding the button that's on the outside of them, then you wouldn't have to worry about the case doing the pairing. So I'm hoping in the next iteration of these that they fix that problem or find a way to allow you to say that you forgot one of these devices or you've lost one of your earbuds. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought this would actually be a selling feature. If you could take one of these out, press and hold the button, turn into pairing mode, and it could pair with a phone, then what would stop you from using both of them on two different devices, which would make these things amazing. So if you were on the bus with your girlfriend, on a train, coming home on a car trip, and you both wanted to listen to different music or something like that, I could have one in my ear, she could have one in her ear, and they could be paired to two different phones. Tell me how amazing that would be for $240, being able to get two headphones like that. And it does not need the case for any Bluetooth because I have put these in my ear before, left the case here, and I've gone to everywhere basically without the case. So it does not actually require the case to communicate with the earbuds. The only reason why I can find that the case is needed is obviously the battery and to initiate the pairing or to program these in some way. When you're using, let's say, the app and you need to update the settings equalizer or something like that. But I think when I've been in the app, I've had to have the earphones on and in my ears. So I can't understand why this case is even needed other than a battery. And I hope the Logitech engineers really think about that for the next version, because this is the only problem I have with these Jaybirds. And again, I'm very picky with my technology. Everything has to be perfect. And these guys are the only people that made it perfect. I sat in Best Buy and went through probably 40 different pairs of headphones and looked at reviews for each one of them. And I just had a checklist of all the things like, do they work independent? Can I purchase a new one if I lose one? And these were the only ones that I could find other than another pair that were about $500. And I wasn't paying $500 for a pair of true wireless earbuds. Brand names are brand names. Sure, they work great, but I'm not paying $500 for a brand name. I didn't even know these were Logitech until I purchased them and I realized that they were Logitech. I used the app, and that's when I actually realized that they were Logitech. And the app works seamlessly with these things. It helped me do some firmware updates for it. The firmware updates were absolutely easy. I basically opened up the app. It told me that there were firmware updates, leave them in my ear, and this pleasant voice inside my ear. It's not this startling fake AI, like, meh, 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 meh. It actually was a nice, hey, your earbuds are being updated. Please don't turn them off. Pleasant voice. When the devices pair, it will tell you that they're connected, what charge they're at. Kind of like if you've ever had a Bose, it has that female voice on it that just says, battery, 50%. But that one's a little more digital. This one actually sounds like an actual recording of somebody's voice, which I know it's a minor thing, but it sounds, it's the little touches on it that just make these things feel and sound premium. So when I did get my new earbud in the mail, it wasn't as easy as the manual said it was. Basically, they said just throw it in the case, leave it on the charger for 5 minutes, and then I should be able to pair it with my device. I tried that 5 or 6 times and I could not get it to work. I then started thinking about maybe it has something to do with the firmware, because I do remember updating the firmware on the one that I got, and maybe the firmware on the other one is out of date. And I'm not sure if it was the problem or not, but I used the app. As soon as the app opened up, it told me that the firmware had to be updated on the headphone. I updated the firmware, and after that, paired, no issues at all. I then renamed my earbuds so that I could find them, which is another cool feature of these, that you can rename them. So for me, I call them Steve's Buds. So when I'm pairing devices, it's easy to see these and what they're called. Again, just another little tiny thing that doesn't take much, but it goes a long way. And then the other options is in the, I've used in the app, you can specify your equalizer that you want to use, so you can constantly tune and play with these. Because I don't think most people realize Bluetooth does not have equalization. So when you send a signal from your phone or from your computer to your Bluetooth headphones, all the equalization that you can change bass and all those type of things, they don't occur over Bluetooth. So if you went into your Windows profile manager or sound profiles and you want bass to go up and stuff like that, unless you have a really good sound card, the Bluetooth takes a copy of the audio before it ever hits your sound card on your phone, on your computer, laptop, that type of thing. So the capability of having an equalizer built into these to change it is a game changer. I have bought headphones before that were Bluetooth. You put them on your head and you're like, why aren't these bassy enough? And you go and you try and change the bass and stuff, nothing happens. And then I go and I take a cord and I plug in my wireless headphones with the cord, the overhead ones, and there's so much bass in it. And I finally found out that it's because Bluetooth does not have, basically they're stealing a copy of the audio before anything happens to it, which is what they should do. But the problem is, if you don't have an application to tell your headphones to do something with that, again, just a minor thing, and maybe this isn't minor, this is a huge thing. But if I'm listening to podcasts, I can change the equalization to say, you know what, this is spoken and I don't need as much bass in it. Whereas if I'm snowboarding and I want really heavy bass, that type of thing, that you can just flip the equalization over. You don't have to change the equalization on it every single time you turn these on. They remember the last setting that they were on. Again, I could go on and on about how amazing these things are, but they check off every box. Other than the fact that when one of these gets lost, you can't synchronize them. You can't pair them. So that being said, hopefully you don't lose them. That's never a problem for you. If it is a problem for you, the replacements come pretty quick and they're pretty easy to pair up. So again, I figured I would just give everyone my review on these, because giving a review of something new as opposed to something you've been using for 4 months, I use these every single day, cutting the lawn, doing all different types of activity, and love these devices. If you ever want to pair them, get these ones. That's all I can say. Anyways, hope everyone's staying safe and hope you enjoyed my review of those. Any comments, just stick them in the doodly-doo downstairs. and we'll talk to you later.